22-year-old Martha Emmons is enjoying a visit to the Hoover Dam when she suddenly goes into violent convulsions and is rushed to the nearest hospital. Now, doctors are running a series of tests to determine what could have triggered the terrifying seizure.
They did brain CAT scan and MRI to check for brain tumors, and they did a panel of blood tests as well. They used flashing lights to try to induce another seizure so that they could be reading what was going on with me.
But the doctors are unable to provoke another seizure, and every test they run comes up empty as well.
At the end of the 4 days, they said they couldn't find anything.
The neurologist told me that approximately 10% of the population suffers a one-time seizure during their lives.
The conclusion was, sometimes people have one seizure, we can't find anything wrong. As long as you don't have another one, it's okay.
I was placed on anti-seizure medication, and I was advised not to drive a car for 6 months.
Upon returning home, Martha does her best to carry on as usual. But any semblance of normality is soon shattered. 6 days later, while she's sitting in the kitchen, Martha experiences a disturbing sensation she's never felt before.
I thought I was going to black out, and then almost as suddenly as the feeling came over me, it went away.
Worried that the near fainting episode could be related to the seizure, Martha immediately makes an appointment with a neurologist.
He tested my reflexes, he tested my vision, and spent about 45 minutes testing all of my neurological function.
But after performing a thorough examination, the doctor can't find a single thing wrong.
He thought that perhaps I was having some lightheadedness from not eating. He simply seemed to think that this wasn't a problem and that I should just make sure to eat every day, especially at breakfast.
But despite eating 3 meals a day, Martha continues to experience episodes. And it isn't long before her colleagues begin to take notice.
I was having the near fainting episodes sometimes daily or every few days. I would feel as if everything was going dark and as if I were about to pass out. And I was having a hard time focusing on the conversation I would be having with clients.
It was just kind of a pause in the conversation. If she would just pause and focus on something until it passed. I made sure the conversation with the client was still going strongly, even though she appeared a little distracted.
I was always wondering, did they notice that?
She was concerned that people would think badly of her, that they would think she was acting strangely.
Martha tries her hardest to manage the puzzling symptoms and soon discovers a trick that seems to minimize the attacks.
I would lower my head because that always seemed to make the episodes go quicker.
Baffled by the episodes, but convinced that nothing serious is going on, Martha and Phil do their best to get on with their lives.
Life was so busy with travel and work that I kept thinking, I'll get to a doctor. But I didn't really know what type of doctor to go see. In the back of my mind, I can remember, because my doctors weren't concerned, that I shouldn't be concerned.
They kind of worked into the fabric of our lives, if that makes sense.
15 months after the horrifying incident at the Hoover Dam, Phil and Martha exchange vows before a small group of family and friends.
We were married in Weston, Connecticut, by Phil's brother, who is a minister.
I was really excited to move in together and make that commitment. Life was good. When we got married, we made the decision to be open right away to having children.
6 weeks after we were married, I learned that I was pregnant. My husband and I were very happy to find out that we were able to get pregnant so quickly.
And the pregnancy has an unexpected and mysterious side effect.
During my pregnancy, the near blackouts went away entirely.
And the whole idea of them, I think, just dropped off the radar. I think we were consumed with what was coming, on our family growing and making plans for that.
The next 9 months fly by, and on February 2nd, 2002, Martha gives birth to a healthy baby boy they named David.
It was a great day when my son was born.
I was just thrilled to be a new parent. I was so busy being a mom and not thinking about the near passing out episodes at all.
When David is 3 months old, Martha goes back to work. But within just a few days, the near fainting spells return with a vengeance.
I was disappointed. I didn't have any expectation that they would ever start again.
The episodes started to get longer, deeper.
Sometimes I would have 3 or 4 episodes in a day for a few days in a row.
It's a rude awakening. But Martha can hardly contain herself when a disturbing new symptom begins to emerge.
I was having trouble recalling things such as a client's name or the name of an organization or a hospital where I was presenting.
She was definitely different. She was not nearly as sharp. She would have trouble remembering things.
It was embarrassing. I compensated by making myself cheat sheets to get through the day.
The symptoms were back and they were kind of building, and she was just more and more concerned about them.
She couldn't think as clearly or as well or as quickly, and it started to concern her at work that she wasn't doing as good a job.
For 2 years, I dealt with this. Part of the reason being I knew when I would have the near passing out experience that within seconds it would go away. There always seemed to be an explanation for being tired or not being able to think straight.
But then, one morning, when David is 2.5 years old, an incident occurs that turns Martha's entire world upside down.
I was sitting in my living room with my son, and I was eating breakfast, and he was playing. I took a bite of my cereal, and I remember standing up to go into the kitchen, and I remember a heaving sensation of my chest and my upper extremities. And that was the last thing I remember.